All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first Discord AMA with your hosts, Brian and Vess. Today we have Seb as our guest, and he's here to talk about some of the recent development milestones on G-Trade. And then we're going to talk about the upcoming trading competition, which everybody's excited to hear about. And then finally, we're going to talk about your questions, which if you open the chat box, which you should see an icon in the top right corner, you can start thinking about your questions and kind of type them in there. And at the end, we'll go through and answer a few of those questions. And we'll have a good time today. All right. Good morning, Seb.
Good morning, Brian. Good morning, everyone. I mean, it's not the morning where I am, but GM anyway.
Yeah, GMS anyway. GMS.
Yeah.
All right.
GMS.
So our first topic are some of the recent development milestones. And I believe Vess had a question for you first.
Yeah, so it was just like a general question now. We've been on Arbitrum for almost exactly 6 months. So just like a general question, what are your thoughts so far on Arbitrum and the decision to deploy on Arbitrum, Seb?
Yeah, I mean, we're happy so far. Like, the timing was really great because we got the airdrop, even though it was really close. Like, they took the snapshots when I think we were like only a month on Arbitrum, so we really nailed the timing. Really happy about that. And of course, the adoption side also is fantastic. I mean, pretty much the whole growth we've had came from Arbitrum. So I think that was a very strategic decision. And of course, the faster trades are great. I mean, once you try one-click trading on Arbitrum, it's hard to go back to something else. But I'm glad we have Polygon too for the smaller trades, a bit less gas fees.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I think both are really useful. But of course, in terms of volume and TVL, it's hard. Arbitrum has been pretty huge.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with the impact to our volume that Arbitrum had. It sucked up so much volume so quick. And I remember that you were coding Christmas Eve, I think, to launch on Arbitrum. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So we had a big grind because we really wanted to deploy on Arbitrum ASAP, but at the same time, we didn't want to deploy with the old vault. We wanted to do things right from the start. So it was a lot of stress because the new vault was a big project in terms of all the engineering that went into it. And at the same time, we wanted to finish it as soon as possible to be live on Arbitrum ASAP. So it was, I think, the biggest grind we've done so far. And I still remember that we went live right before the new year. It was
yeah, because you said you're going to launch before the year was over, and you did. Like with what, an hour to spare or something? Yes, Seb means like business.
I said it, so it has to happen. So whatever needed to be done has been done, and I'm glad we succeeded.
In my time zone, it was like literally, I think it was 1 minute and 7 seconds before the new year.
Oh my God, so you timed it.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because it was before end of year, but it was a very, very narrow margin.
Yeah, but it happened.
And I think in my time zone, it was like 23 something, like 11 p.m.
Wow.
So,
yeah, I mean, y'all grind like crazy. So, and y'all just finished grinding on, your latest deployment, 6.3.2. I think we know, but for everybody else that doesn't know the impact that we think 6.3.2 is going to have on our volume, can you tell everybody how that's going to change things for the better from this point onward?
Sure. So the big thing with v6.3.2 is the scaling of the max OIs. Because until now, we weren't really comfortable scaling the max OIs a lot. Because the main tool we had until now to manage the risk of the net exposure on each pair was the funding fee, and it turned out to be not what we expected. So we had to restrain from scaling the max OIs because it would have been a bit dumb to do so without a really good risk management system in place. So that's why we really prioritized the new borrowing fees. We spent quite a lot of time designing it. It was a pretty bold move to move borrowing fees, but I think pretty much every other DEX out there still uses funding fees, which I think for synthetic platforms is really, really inefficient. So now that we made the research, that we finished the update and everything, it's a really good time because now we can really scale the max OIs. So we are finishing a formula for the max OIs on each pair, and by the way, each group also has a max OI now.
Okay.
That's something we managed to put into the v6.3.2 update, which I think is really cool, because now we can limit also exposure on correlated pairs. So that's a really good thing to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, so we're finishing that formula in a few days, and then we will start scaling all the pairs, of course, before the contest starts. So yeah, it's pretty exciting times, and I'm really happy with what we came up with for this borrowing fee design. I really think it's the end game. I think it will make a really, really good revenue stream for the vault.
Awesome. So when we are trading, are we going to see that 15 million cap? Is that just going to be gone at one point once you've finished battle testing this out prior to the competition? Is it just going to be an infinity symbol?
So it's never going to be gone fully, but because there can still be a case where, there's a huge volatility during a very short period of time. And of course, since the borrowing fee is charged over time, then in that case, the borrowing fee isn't fully enough to cover that. So we still want to look at like the average volatility over a day, for example, and take the extra which depends on the risk we want to accept proportionally to the vault size. In that case, even though the borrowing fee doesn't create an edge because it happens over a too short period of time, we still have that limit in place. So it's needed for this specific case, but clearly we can scale them a lot compared to now.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people are looking forward to, like especially traders, because it's been, there was like a period of time where the OIs were, especially on Bitcoin and Ethereum, they were just maxed out. So I think a lot of people,
the rollover fee as well was really high. It was way higher than we wanted, of course. It was a band-aid until we released the update. So now I'm glad the lower leverages are usable again.
Yeah.
So what about, there's another change that I don't think a lot of people realize, that the news events are handled completely differently than prior to the update. Can you expand on what's going on?
Yeah, sure. So the one of the big things with this update is that instead of updating the 1% depth when there is a news, which basically was a way to disable trading automatically whenever there was a news, because if you do a huge high leverage trade, long and short, right before news, if you know almost for sure that the news will generate a big move, like let's say 1%, if you use 100x on both sides, if the move is more than 1%, then you make a profit. Of course, you still need to remove the fees and the spread, but in some cases that was profitable on Forex, for example, at some point. So we found a much cleaner way of handling this, because really the only trades that cause problem in this case are the high leverage trades, right? So instead of disabling the opening of trades for all leverages, we now just restrict the max leverage, which makes it in practice almost impossible to profit, because the move will need to be like 10% or something crazy, which never happens.
And some of the traders came out and said, hey, I really like the change. It's a lot smoother than the older process. And I think it is. It doesn't close anything down for good, but it still limits the risk of the platform very effectively.
Correct. I see an interesting question in the chat about what's the advantage for traders with the borrowing fee compared to the funding fee. So there isn't really an advantage. It's pretty much the same. The advantage is really for the project and how we manage the risk, which then might lead to, for example, lower spreads if we have more room because the risk is really well managed. So for the trader, it's not a big difference. The fee is pretty much the same for the exposure, but for the project, it's a huge difference. So that will allow us more room, maybe with lowering spreads and stuff like that.
Oh man, that'd be great too. Then we even more competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also like the funding fees. Like I remember in the start, there were a lot of people that like farmed funding fees they just hedged by opening on the least popular side, but it hasn't been that. It seems a bit troublesome because it can like the pendulum can swing really, really quickly. The
issue was if you wanted to be profitable farming funding fees, you needed a crazy high APR due to the way you can't predict how the opposite side will stay the same, and due to fee and spread. So the only kind of funding fee farming we were seeing were really small trades on the opposite side of huge OI. So like you will have a 10 million maybe long OI and 200k short OI. And like the shorts will make a crazy APR, like maybe 1,000% or something. And that was really useless for the project because the goal from the start was that it would bring the net OI much closer to equilibrium. So these trades were catching the opportunities that is provided, but they were really useless for the ecosystem. So long term, it's much better for everyone to have this model.
Yeah, and I saw some really lopsided pairs with that look really profitable. But I knew the second I'd commit to it, it would flip, and then I'd be the one holding the bag. I'd lose everything. So it was nerve-wracking for myself to try something like that. But I know Midget Whale did a good job with one of his trades using that model. But in general, it is I like the idea of the funds going to the vault instead. It seems so much more cleaner, simple, and it's going to protect the protocol better.
Yeah. Do you want to move on to the next question, Brian? Or?
Sure. Yeah. Let's go. All right. How did the latest audit go? Does Halborn ever comment to you guys about the quality of the work? Because they didn't find anything really with the last audit. It was just nothing.
Yeah, there wasn't anything. They didn't find anything significant, so or that's really important in practice.
And that's because
just the very, very small stuff, like maybe, I don't know, small gas optimization or something, or other stuff that doesn't.
Yeah, and that's your unit testing. Can you describe what's going on when you and the team are unit testing? Because it seems like y'all unit test 100 billion times before release, so it's obviously working, whatever you're doing. And if you could explain what a unit test is for the audience, because I'm not a technical guy. I don't know, but I see y'all doing unit testing nonstop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. So I think our code base has one of the biggest amount of tests. It's pretty crazy. We really test every single line of code before we release something. Because I mean, if you don't test it, you don't know what will really happen in practice, and you cannot just rely on luck like that when you release stuff to prod. So a unit test, it's really simple. So when you have smart contracts are made of variables, functions, and everything. And if you want to make sure your code works as you expect, you just take every function. I will describe how I do it. I just take every function, like a function could be, for example, in the GNS staking contract, the staking function. So the one where you send your GNS to the contract and it registers that you now earn a share of the fees. So you just take it line by line. You test every single scenario, like, often you have if and else conditions in the code. So you take every path possible in the code and you test every single one of the lines and its effects for example, on the state of the contract, like variables and everything. You test events. I won't go into too much details, but yeah, basically unit tests, you just test everything, every single scenario, and it doesn't tell you that the code is fully safe or hack proof or anything. It just tells you that the code does what it's supposed to do and that there is no bug. Right? So it won't reveal like all vulnerabilities and everything. That you still need your brain power to think about that. But unit tests tell you that at least the code does what it's supposed to do, which is, most issues come from there usually. So, and then during this process, since you review each line so carefully, it's also much simpler to think about all scenarios and side effects of all lines, and then you can have a really, really good confidence that there is no edge case or anything. Like the way I like to see the functions in the code is like a state machine where you have each state. Like you cannot have a state that doesn't make sense, so everything has to be clean. And usually, like code that leads to bugs, as the code is, I don't know how to explain it. Like you don't test all the side effects and the whole state machine, right? So in this case, I really spend a lot of time thinking about that, and every single state the contract can be in, and make sure it doesn't lead to weird states. or edge cases and everything. So yeah.
Oh, God bless you. I just make memes, man. I can't do that. All right.
So basically, unit testing is sort of like, instead of manually clicking on everything, you just write like a test or like a script that simulates not everything, but like all possible outcomes. Instead of just like clicking everything and making sure that everything does what it's supposed to do, or like what's expected.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise you have like, it's prone to error because maybe you check that this variable is equal to that, but you didn't see it well, so like you make a mistake there. And also the big thing with unit tests is that now, for example, when we do a new update, we just adapt the existing unit tests, and when they all pass, we know that all the edge cases are covered and everything. So of course we add new tests where there are new cases and new possibilities. But when you have the whole, instead of restarting from scratch each time, you have you build this code base of unit tests, which is really important thing to have, because that's what makes you confident in the contracts, really.
Yeah, and Seb we trust is not a meme. I mean, we appreciate the due diligence. All the investors appreciate the due diligence. Now, while we're on the development side, what about lookbacks? Are they in active development? And then what do you see as next after lookbacks?
So they are in unit testing phase right now. So we finished the contracts, we finished the other parts related to the oracles, and yeah, they're just in unit testing phase. And once that's done, we can initiate the time lock and deploy it. So I don't have a definitive date, but it's getting definitely pretty close.
Awesome. 2 weeks soon. Along those lines. Yeah. That's sweet. So, and then after lookbacks, what's the next focus?
So there are a few options. There's of course the partials, like partial adding to a trade, partial closing. But there's also the stuff like adding or removing collateral from a trade, which changes the leverage, and that for market orders and take profit and stop losses as well. So that's a really big thing for traders. I mean, if your strategy uses this right now, it's pretty hard to use the platform. Of course, you have to do a lot of, like, you have to break your position into multiple trades. It's a bit harder. So definitely, I think this will be great. This will be a huge thing for the UX. So yeah, that's one of the things where we will work on in parallel. And there's also a big update, a big refactor of the storage contract. Which will turn trades into. I don't know if I'm going to say that yet.
Okay, well we can keep whatever that is that you're about to say is redacted.
Yeah, but what I can say is it will enable smart contract trading, which I know a lot of projects have been waiting on for a while. So I'm really excited to have that, because it will. I mean, even a multi-sig right now cannot trade, so it's a bit sad. And like, there is no integration possible yet on top of G-Trade, of course, since you cannot open a trade or interact from a smart contract.
I see.
So I think this will open a new world of possibilities, and who knows what will come from that.
I see. So it's like
all I can say is there's a lot of protocols we're talking with already that have been waiting for few months already, so
Awesome.
I really want to deliver that soon.
Okay, cool. So that's like composability of the vaults, but now it's composability of trades.
Yeah, exactly, and also a big refactor to the storage contract, because when I deployed it, it was a while ago. It was v5, and we didn't use proxies yet, so it's a bit annoying right now because we need to put storage in other contracts. So technically, it doesn't change anything for that part, but it will be much cleaner. And also, big thing that will be concrete for the UX. We will store the data much more efficiently. So there will be a big gas reduction for trades. Probably something like, I would say 15-20% maybe. So
Oh man, so many traders gonna look forward to that. So lower position sizes on Arbitrum and even lower position sizes possible on Polygon?
So I don't know if we will be able to lower position sizes with this significantly, because gas prices have risen a lot recently, so they've come a bit down now, but in the future I want to have something where the mean position size is dynamic based on the current gas price. But so I don't know if we will be able to reduce the mean position size from that, but it will be great regardless.
Yeah, we'll definitely like to see it.
And of course, then there will be the multi-collateral, which we are already preparing, but we probably need the storage refactor before we can release that one. So I think the partials and the storage refactor will come first, and then before that, lookbacks. And after all of this, the multi-collateral, I think, will be the priority.
Awesome. So we could have a GF vault, a GWBTC vault, something like those things.
Correct.
Awesome.
So I just maybe we should move on to the next section, but I just have like two small questions regarding more like on the topic of development. And yeah, the first question is, do you think that roll-ups are pretty much mandatory for a platform such as G-Trade? And is this something that's considered like when because a lot of people are asking, when ERA, when CKVM and stuff like that about deploying on other chains. So Seb, what are your thoughts on that?
So I think that's a great question. But I'm sorry, I just want to look at the chat real quick so that when questions come in, we keep answering them. That way, I think it's better for the audience.
Yeah.
So okay. Are you happy with the last update concerning NFT bots? Yeah, I'm very happy. I mean, it wasn't going to do some magic like 10x in the bot rewards, but the incentive structure is much better. I think there is less gas wars, and the whole incentive system is much more aligned now. So that's why that was like an obvious update to release, and we patched quite a few important issues and ways that the rewards could be gained. So yeah, I think the update has done its job. I'm happy with it. But of course, there might be a few other updates to the NFT bot incentives. But for now, it's not the highest priority. But that one was a high priority because it was there were some obvious flaws that that were patched, and I think it worked well. It's obviously not perfect, but we will keep improving it over time. Just reading a few other questions.
And guys, this is all recorded, so if anybody had to jump out, we'll have this up somewhere here in the future. So the whole thing, we got it on tape. Let's come back.
So there is a interesting question on the risk for the protocol. So you mentioned offloading the risk to market makers. So I don't want to introduce a single point of failure, relying on one or a few market makers to hedge our risk. But I had an idea the other day, and I think there might be a cool thing we can do to like outsource the P&L risk a bit. So much better than funding fees, but maybe like, you know, the trader's P&L tends to be negative long term. That's quite a big source of revenue. So I was thinking, what if we like sell this part of this income, and in exchange people deposit DAI or something, and then they also help hedge the risk directly, but like their deposit fluctuates directly depending on P&L, unlike the vault, which where the revenue source is the fees, apart from when it's under collateralized. But I was wondering if there was a way we could like tokenize this risk and maybe sell a part of it. But I haven't done a lot of research yet. But I think there are some possibilities there where maybe we can scale even more and offload some of that risk and like create a new product on top of the vault. We will see.
Wow.
Maybe we go back to your questions, and I will after the next question I will answer some questions from the chat again. So sorry, what was the last question, Wes?
It was about it's sort of like a two-part question, because do you think that like we've seen the speed on Arbitrum, which is a roll-up, and do you think that roll-ups are pretty much like required from for a platform such as G.Trade? And then also a lot of people are asking like about deploying on other chains and stuff like that in our socials. So I was just wondering if you could like expand on your thoughts about that.
Yeah, so I think rollups are a no-brainer, not only for decentralized trading platform, but like for every protocol. Like I think it's a no-brainer for the scaling of Ethereum, right? Because the batching of transactions and then you only post the proof, like it's so much smarter than putting like everything on L1 directly. So yeah, I think it's great for the overall ETH scaling. And of course, I mean, platforms like G.Trade, that's where you really see the importance, because otherwise trades will cost $100 in gas fees every time. So it would be very limiting. And in fact, that was the case when we had just started the project on ETH. Sometimes like the gas fees costed at least $50 worth of it. So I'm glad we are on L2s now. And yeah, regarding other chains, I think we should look to get on the ZK rollup soon, because that's the other big architecture for layer 2, like true layer 2s. And yeah, I'm discussing with Polygon on their ZK VM, and I think we will look to deploy there once Chainlink is supported.
Oh, that'll be cool. And, Asif is probably going to pop in the chat any second now because you mentioned Polygon. So, yeah, just watch out.
Speaking of popping into the chat, I see Calvus, who is one of the people who is very curious about when we're going to deploy on Era or CK Sync.
Yes. Yeah, I see him. Yeah, well, I guess that's to be determined then. It's after the roadmap for Gains has always been very flexible because they have to react to so much stuff. So, but if it's on the radar of Seb, that's awesome. So I'm going to be happy to see, going to Polygon ZK solution because, I want to see the growth of the platform in new directions. So that's an obvious step. So I'm happy to hear that as well. Did y'all want to move on to the trading contest? I think everybody is also curious about what the trading contest is going to be like this time. Seb, do you want to lead on how this one's going to be a little bit different?
Yeah, sure. So now that we have the scaling of MaxOIs solved, it's a fantastic timing for making a new trading contest. The last one was quite a while ago, so I'm glad that we are hosting another one really soon. So the full details will be released in an article very soon, but I will give a few characteristics of this contest, because we innovated quite a lot on it. I wanted to make something different that would make the experience further gamified and exciting. So the first difference is that now each rank will have a different reward. So there is no more like grouping of when you were 10th place to like 20th, you aren't the same. This time we use a pretty cool trick to calculate each rank's reward based on geometric sequences for people who are into that kind of stuff. So each rank will have a different reward, which I think is pretty cool because now you have a much bigger incentive to keep going up in the leaderboard and to not go down also. The second thing is that instead of just taking a snapshot before the contest ends to distribute your reward and know your rank, instead we will look at your rank every day, so every 24 hours, and we will distribute you, not distribute you, the reward will still be distributed at the end of the contest, but your, let's say, the accumulated reward will be updated every day based on your rank. So, for example, let's say the first place earns 10,000, and in this case, the contest, by the way, will start on June 12th and it will end on June 30th. So it will be 18 days. Instead of just receiving 10k at the end of the contest, you will your reward will be the sum of the reward you earn every day based on your rank. So let's say you were the first in the leaderboard for the 18 days, you will just receive 555 DAI every day. Right, so like your rewards counter will update every day based on your rank. and it will take the rank reward and divide by 18, because the contest is 18 days long, and you will earn your rewards will increase based on that every day, which I think is a really cool mechanism.
I see. So it's
because now, instead of just having to be first before the snapshot, every day counts. So it's really important to get to the top of the leaderboard fast, and also to maintain your position high in the leaderboard every day, because if you go down for a day, then you will earn a bit less. So I think the combination of these two things will make the contest really fun and really exciting.
Yeah, that sounds like King of the Hill.
Forward.
Somebody can knock you down rank with if you're inactive by just trading and getting that P&L up. They just move you down a few slots, or rewards drop. So it's going to incentivize everybody to try to trade their best and move up rank.
Exactly. Way more pressure now.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of pressure, because we've seen the peak, the trading competition starts, we've got a lot of on-trade activity, lots of volume, and then it gets to that trough in the middle where it kind of slows down. And then at the very end, it peaks again as everybody battles for that first or second place position. So is this the intent of this to smooth that out and make it just constantly, incentivize that volume?
Yeah, the goal is to make the contest exciting every day. Like that way, every day you see your reward increase. Your rank is important every day, and also every rank you climb leads to a direct positive reward. Like you earn more for each rank instead of like before. Maybe 10th to 15th rank, they earn the same. So like if you're 15th, why try to go up to 10th, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you get up to 10th now. This future competition, you earn more. It's pretty simple.
Exactly.
That's awesome. And are there going to be any other prizes aside from just being on the leaderboard?
Oh, by the way, I think I didn't say the main thing, but there will be 100k of rewards between Arbitrum and Polygon. And on Arbitrum, it will be in ARB tokens, and on Polygon, it will be in DAI. So 70k on Arbitrum and 30k on Polygon. And another cool thing, as you mentioned, Brian, we are going to reward also 10 random traders on each chain. Sorry, I forgot to mention also something important. So on Polygon, the leaderboard will be based on percent PNL, so your performance relative to your position size. Whereas on Arbitrum, it will be absolute PNL, because we feel it's smarter on Polygon to reward in percent, based on the percent. That way, smaller traders have a chance. And on Arbitrum, we use the absolute PNL. That way, size matters. And
see,
the other thing was, we reward 10 random traders on each chain as well. And on each chain, we reward the worst trader too.
So, number one loser is going to get a prize.
Yeah.
So the guy that gets wiped out the hardest, he's got a consolation. Okay, well that sounds fun.
And we target 30 ranks in the leaderboard of each chain. So it will be a separate leaderboard on Polygon and Arbitrum.
I see. So 60 places where somebody can earn 30 on each chain. That's pretty liberal. That's pretty good. If you're down on the 30th place, you'll still get some prizes.
Exactly.
Awesome.
So the full details will be released very soon in an article. And so, like, for example, the reward for each rank. And I'm really looking forward now. It's a great timing to go back to full marketing mode.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that we can scale.
And we have about 10 minutes left. That'll be 1 hour. Did you see any questions in the community that we haven't answered or that look juicy?
Going to have a look now. So I see, can GETH Vault be one of the next updates? Yeah, for sure, that's planned. It's too big, to be a low priority.
I got one, Seb. Do you have a mustache?
Not sure if I can
No comment. Okay.
reveal that information.
Gotcha.
Maybe.
I'm going to
not.
imagine that you do. It's a nice, big, fluffy, powerful man mustache. Okay. So let's see what other questions, if anything. If anybody's got a question, better ask it now. We'll have a few minutes left for an hour here. Open the chat box if you're late.
Will Gains.Trade work ever expand to more than trading? Yeah, I think we should create a diversified portfolio of products in the long term. Because why not? I mean, it's better than one product. As soon as the most important stuff for G-Trade is done, we'll look into that. And yeah, I think that's a whole other world of possibilities. But it's hard to look into it already because there's so much good stuff we can do with G-Trade that have direct positive consequences, since we already have lots of users, and it's much easier to improve something that works well already than creating something new. But there will be a point where it makes sense to create new products. So yeah, looking forward to that.
So GBet is still something that can be done. It's still on the horizon.
Sorry, you cut a little bit, but yeah, GBet is still very much on the roadmap for me. To me, it would be dumb not to do it.
Ooh, keep holding those tokens, guys. More revenue streams.
Yeah, and I think it's great. Like the core protocol. It's very easy to, well, not very easy, but we can easily build other things or other products that maybe use the same Divault, like akin to how we're listing assets. We can also just make a casino or a betting platform or like anything.
Yeah, that was something that was introduced a long time ago on the, when Seb was first starting to build this, he talked about all the different products that could be built on top. But obviously G-Trade became such a focus because it's such a complex machine. And I think there was a quote one time Seb said something that all these dexes think they think it's going to be easy, but they don't really know how hard running a dex is. And unless you get a peer behind the curtain, you don't really know all the stuff that the team has had to navigate, from hackers to the La Luna event. There's so many little speed bumps that the team has smoothed over and corrected. The product is running smoother than it ever has. So it's just the devotion that they put on G-Trade has kind of pushed off the G-Bet idea, of course, until G-Trade is finished. But it's nice to know that the ecosystem and the vision that Seb had initially is still out there, is still going to be tapped into once we get this product finished.
100%. So I see a question to your point about tokenizing the P&L risk. Isn't Genesis as a token exposed to the P&L upside to buy back and burn? So yeah, but what I meant is maybe we want to get rid of, let's say, 30 or 40% of the P&L risk, and of course, therefore the upside too. And maybe that allows us to raise maximize further and 2x the volume. And so we generate more fees, and in the end, with the same TVL, and in the end, we also get back more P&L exposure upside. So that was the idea, but as I said, it's still very much in research. Was something else? Yeah, so to continue on what you said, Brian, I think we're in a fantastic position. Like at this point, it's undeniable that our model has proved itself, and I mean, if you think about it, like we're literally allowing people to, with other books, that's a really big innovation. Like the capital efficiency that comes from that is insane. Like, and I think we've proved that the model works, and now it's all about scaling and finalizing the UX, like partials, allowing more collaterals. But I don't see a reason for per platforms with another book to exist almost with our model, honestly. I see, of course, a reason for spot liquidity, because that's, of course, where the real asset is traded and where the price discovery happens. But if you think about it, why would we need price discovery on a so I think what we've achieved is it's insane, honestly, and I'm really proud of it, and I'm excited to finishing the polishing of everything, and so that we can finally have the same UX as on centralized exchanges, for example, and then everyone can see that there is no reason for other books on derivatives. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all done so much. You've come so far in 1 year. Like, it's crazy. I mean, 2 years rather. From the start of G Farm to where it is now. Anybody who's been here from back then sees the insane amount of work that's gone into this. So, all right.
Yeah, I had the idea for the project exactly 3 years ago. So.
Oh man, and then the G Farm splash page that I'll have to pull up for everybody in the chat here afterwards. In case they haven't seen it, it's still on the Wayback Machine, so you can still see what G Farm V2 looked like and how it at least the front end, at least the splash page, the entrance page, it was pretty slick. And you know, did you build that? I was going to ask, did you build the front end at that time?
So I did code the whole front end, but it was based on a template I had bought to save some time. But I customized everything, and the whole code I wrote. Just a few parts of the design were a template.
Yeah, and yeah, we only got a few minutes left. So if anybody's got a question, you got like 3 minutes. And if you haven't been here from oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Do you have plans to increase the burn rate to, for example, 10%? Yes, for sure. Right now, the whole over collateralization, a lot of the traders' negative P&L goes into increasing the over collat. But I mean, we're getting in a increasingly good situation with the vaults now. So we're starting to have a good amount of room to increase the burn. That's definitely the plan, because that's a big revenue stream for the GNS token, and how the losses also flow back into the ecosystem.
Yeah, I see that gentleman VWV2 something is writing War and Peace, the sequel. If we don't get to your question before you type it, please feel free to drop it in the main chat, and we'll get it to Seb. All right, guys, it's been about an hour. Remember, this all started from Seb by himself initially when he launched, and it's turned into this huge ecosystem. So we're all really appreciative of Seb's work and the team's time behind the protocol. So if anybody has anything to type in the chat box in the next 30 seconds, thank you for coming to the AMA, guys, and thank you, Seb, for spending some time with the community. You guys can expect more Discord events in the future with some of our partners as well. So be watching Twitter. We'll also have Twitter Spaces upcoming as well. So if we didn't cover your question or you think of something else, please hit us up in the general chat. All right. Well, thank you for your time, everyone. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. It was a lot of fun. I think we're going to do more in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll copy those last questions into the chat, into the general chat. So y'all have a good day, everybody. Peace out.
See ya.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.